That's why they're going with the story outside of Gran Turismo of a kid playing a game and ending up becoming a real race car driver.
Is
It's
that gonna be
kind of
like their
their
selling point though?
yeah,
Like
that it's
documentary
based on a true.
style,
Well, it's not a documentary. It's
or
they're
Based
like
on a
the
true story.
it's a based on a true story movie. So they're over
Yeah.
embellishing half of it.
Yeah.
They
Is
were already
esports
doing
big
the.
enough for this? Like on a racing level, I guess. Because League of
Well,
Legends is huge.
he
And then,
wasn't just racing. He wasn't just racing in esports. He's racing in real life. That's what he actually became a pro race car driver.
Oh, okay, I was like,
I
yeah.
thought
I
you were
didn't
talking about on
know.
the esports.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Like, I
We're
didn't-
talking like he actually made it into actual in real life driving.
By playing Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fascinating.
yeah, because they've
As
had.
one who had followed auto racing very closely at one point in my life, that is fascinating.
So that's why I'm like, it's an interesting sounding movie.
Welcome to the Gaming Trend Podcast, the official podcast of GamingTrend.com. My name is Anthony Shelton, and I am joined by David Burdett
Hello there.
and Noah Rigsby.
Hi there.
In this podcast, we talk about the biggest games of the week, games in our backlog we should have played a long time ago, and what you need to play. But since this year just began, Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about. So, we're going to talk about our most anticipated games of 2023. We're going to celebrate what we got for Christmas. And we are also going to discuss what Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo should do this year. So, let's start with the things that we got for Christmas. I don't know. Usually, if I got some spare cash, I'm spending it on some gaming stuff. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but David, I feel like you got one of your Christmas gifts early, if I remember correctly.
So I don't know that
That
it
laugh.
technically counts as getting my Christmas gift early. It's more that I kept reminding my wife I want a SteelSeries Apex Pro keyboard for Christmas.
That's what it
And
was.
I reminded her for like 2 months, sent links to it and everything. It gets to Black Friday and everything. It finally gets to the Cyber Monday and stuff, and I noticed the price is starting, to go up and everything. And being the good husband I am, I don't want her to spend a bunch on a full priced one when you can get it cheaper. Because we have other people to buy stuff for, and I tell her, hey, just so you know, it's still on sale. And she looked at me and said, what's still on sale? And I proceeded to get very upset because I'm like, I had gifts in a cart for the last year of things, and I have been adding things and all this, and you've been telling me things. And the second we got our paycheck that was supposed to go towards Christmas, I bought all of it. And you forgot the thing I've talked about for the last 2 months. So I went on Black Friday and bought myself the SteelSeries Apex Pro. So I bought myself a Christmas gift, and I bought the Prism caps. So it made everything extra RGB. Because they're the bottoms of the caps are more see-through for all the RGB lighting, and they're putting caps so they're really nice and comfy. So it's fantastic keyboard. What?
Okay. I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask if it was a good keyboard, but then you said it's a comfy keyboard.
Yes, it's a fantastic keyboard. I forget I'm typing on it sometimes. It's so
So good.
Can you feel it?
I'm trying to think of the name for it. I guess I don't want to say the keys themselves, but the switches. The switches are just so comfortable.
yeah.
You barely feel them. Very, very much a glide along.
Nice. Well, okay. Since you threw your wife under the bus, what did you get your wife? We got to throw that in there.
I got my wife quite a few things. An iced coffee maker. Essentially, it's a regular coffee maker, but that has the correct measurements so that you get the best iced coffee when you're measuring out your ice and the water and everything like that. And then she's a huge fan of Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars. So I got her from Etsy custom hairband that looks like the Leku that Ahsoka wears, a custom Ahsoka shirt, and custom Ahsoka like Vans sneakers.
Oh,
So, and that alongside, all kinds of other stuff she asked me for, like shoes and hats and stuff like that. Um, Now, I don't want to throw her completely under the bus because she did get me some really, really cool stuff. She got me some really awesome Star Wars decor for this downstairs area so that I can stop using this green screen once we clean it up and put everything up.
yeah, there you go.
But she did get me something I haven't ever bought myself, an Oculus Quest case. So I can actually store my headset and controllers in a nice, safe place.
Yeah.
And beyond that, she also got me an Atlanta Phase jacket, bomber jacket, and jersey. It's the OG when the CDL first launched jersey, but it's a white jersey, and I've had a black jersey for a long time. So
They're
it's
already
really
selling
cool
OG versions.
well, it's the they've had a new version of the jersey each year
Sure.
of the CDL, so they're not been like super different, but that one is the one that's on Amazon, is the one from the Modern Warfare 2019 season.
Oh, okay. As long as they're not calling it throwback, it's fine.
No, they're not doing any of that kind of stuff. It's just cheaper because they still have plenty of them.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. So
you got kind of the hand-me-down edition of.
I'll be honest. I
Atlanta
have the specific player jersey of the black one of that one, and I guess that's the away jersey, and the white home one is just a plain jersey. But they're so nice. Like, not all esports jerseys that you buy are actually nice. Like, I had one of the Atlanta Reign Overwatch League ones, and it just kind of felt cheap. I liked it, but it felt cheap. This felt like a real jersey.
Okay.
The phase jersey. So, and the bomber jacket is just awesome. So, definitely enjoying having that light jacket for the summertime.
Nice. All right. So some gaming peripherals and some esports apparel. Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
Noah, what did you get?
I got absolutely nothing. So if anyone wants to send me stuff,
You
just
got
DM me
nothing?
on Twitter. And yeah, I was trying to just get free stuff. But no, my stuff, I mostly I got with the currency that I got. I got some PSN currency. I picked up Bastion and Transistor on the holiday sale for like, I think like $5 total. I was like, it'll be a good time to replay those before Hades 2 comes out. But mostly I just needed kind of like I feel like this was like the quality of life update year for Noah, because I got a fresh SteelSeries headset. I got fresh chargers for like my Xbox controllers and PlayStation controllers and stuff. So, just quality of life improvements. But more so, aside from that, being the anime fan that I am, went out and I treated myself to some manga and a figure. So that's where my Christmas money mostly went. But yeah, it was a good. It was fresh. It was like you're like sitting around the house and you're like I could upgrade a couple of things, and I luckily did and got to. So that was a big thing for me, was just getting fresh hardware and accessories.
Nice.
And I took him to that IMAX showing of the Game Awards for Christmas too.
Oh, you paid for it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yep. And he drove, which was even better.
Oh man, you sacrificed money and gas. David's a real one.
We kind of, I'll be honest, we kind of forgot the whole trip because we just chatted about video game stuff the whole time. So
it felt like a work trip.
Kind of, but it also felt like it went really fast just because we were having so much fun talking games.
I mean, it kind of halfway was a work trip for you guys because you're preparing for the podcast too at the same time. Appreciate your efforts.
What about you, Anthony? What did you get?
Yeah.
I got a quality of life update as well. I decided to ditch my old Switch because the Joy-Con was having drift, and so I got myself a Switch OLED. So I just used the drift
Nice.
as an excuse to get one. It was only one controller. I could have got new Joy-Cons, but I was like, I got the money. Just gonna get a whole new Switch. How about that? So glad I did though, because I actually like using it in handheld mode now. I will gladly set it up on a table because it's got a much better kickstand, one that actually
Not hard.
works. Yeah. So it works wonderful. The screen is nicer. I can see things better. I mean, the color difference isn't crazy, but just because you can see it better, everything feels a little bit better. I do think the performance is slightly better though, and it's not because the hardware is better. I think it's just not overheating as much, so I'm not getting as much frame drops when I play.
Parts are optimized.
Yeah.
Better.
Pokemon Violet still has all of its performance issues, but it feels just a little bit better playing on the OLED. And I don't think that's my mind playing tricks on me because I got a new machine. I do think it actually works just a smidge better. So that was nice. I also got I finally was able to capitalize on the thing that I was not able to capitalize on the last podcast of the year. If you watched or listened to the last podcast of the year, which you should go do that because we talk about our game of the years and all that stuff from 2022. David and Noah in the middle of the podcast were telling me about a deal that was happening on Best Buy. David sent me a link. So I, in the middle of the podcast, was going to capitalize on getting this Best Buy deal of getting Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope for $31 plus the digital copy of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It was in the cart, ready to go. Decided to finish the podcast and focus to go get my credit card and all that. I literally would not up, left the podcast to go get my credit card, fill out the information, decided to stay and do my duty. And by the end of the podcast, the deal was over. And I was like, are you kidding me? You gotta be joking me. So I couldn't get it. David, his heart on New Day, sent me a link saying the deal is back. So I said, all right, I'm going to get it. So I got it. And
I was going to ask that question.
I got it.
Yeah.
The code didn't show up for the digital version until 5 days later. I guess Best Buy said it should have showed up like 30 minutes later, but for whatever reason, it didn't. So I was getting a little concerned that I wasn't going to get my digital version when I went to go pick up Sparks of Hope a couple of days because I was out of town. So where the store I got it from was holding it for a little bit. When I went to go get it, they were like, well, I don't know, call corporate if it doesn't show up, in the next day or two. So thankfully it did show up in the next day or two. So I've been playing a little bit of Kingdom Battle, but I've been mostly spending my time playing Pokemon Violet. But yeah, I like Kingdom Battle so far. I think it needs some quality of life features that Fire Emblem has, like seeing potential movement of enemies, but I don't know if Sparks of Hope has that. So I'm looking forward to playing Kingdom Battle and then playing Sparks of Hope and seeing the difference. I like doing that. I'm that kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
But it was a good overall. Cause I got a new webcam too that I'm using right now. That was its whole story. So, but yeah, it does look a little cleaner. Which was nice because my wife has had trouble with my old gaming laptop webcam, so I just gave her my C922, and she was like, "Oh, this is so much better." I was like, "This is what happens when you get good hand-me-downs from the tech guy in the house." So yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, Happy New Year. That's what we got for our holiday season. Hope you guys got some great gifts. Let us know in the comments what you got. Like to celebrate with y'all. It's fun to get stuff. It's not what it's about, but it is fun to get stuff. Let's not.
Oh yes.
Let's not be fake about that. All right. Let's a lot of games are coming out in 2023. A whole lot of games are going to be coming out.
Oh yes.
Hopefully
Happy New Year.
Yeah. It looks like February will probably be packed again. Literally the whole year, I think, is going to be having something, whether it's the February games. Forspoken's coming out this month pretty soon, for example. Dead Space is coming out this month. I know in the summertime, I think Redfall did it get delayed again? I don't
They
remember.
haven't officially dated it yet. Actually, Microsoft has yet to date really anything.
But Starfield is coming out around that time. We got Tears of the Kingdom coming out in that middle of the year area. And of course, the holiday season will have stuff. Another Call of Duty probably, or at least
that's a fun.
expansion.
The second half of the year, we have no idea all the
No
things that
clue.
could be announced.
Yeah.
Like that's what's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
And there's already this much now.
Exactly. So we're gonna have a really packed 2023. I think the next 2 years are gonna be really packed. So
Yep.
let's talk about the top 5 most anticipated games of 2023 for each of us. So Noah, why don't you kick us off with your first one? It doesn't have to be in any particular order, but which one of your 5 are you looking forward to?
It's kind of a given, but One Piece Odyssey, which is
Really?
here in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's talk about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So the main reason I'm excited for is one, it's just One Piece. Anything I get excited for. I've been into the series for a few years now, and it's one of my favorites. I think if it continues its current trend, it could go down as one of the best, if not the best. Which I probably just made Twitter really mad by saying that. But yeah, and the great thing about this one, and one of the reasons I'm so excited, is we're going through some of the fan favorite arcs of the series, but they're being reimagined or twisted in a unique way as retelling, just because of the way the game's going to be set up. Alabasta is one of my favorites, and then that was like the very first trailer was, hey, we're going back to Alabasta, and there's things going to be changed, things are going to be different. So it's nostalgia bait for me, definitely. They sold me on that instantly. So, and I think that's what a lot of people are really betting on, because it's been so long since these arcs have aired and came out in the manga. So I think it's definitely one that we are really excited for. And then going towards the combat system, it's gonna be turn based this time. Fairy Tale game that came out a couple years ago, they did a turn based game and it was really well. Did really well, even financially. But yeah, it played good. And so I'm hoping that translates over. Hopefully we'll see. It's got some good quest lines in there too. But it's One Piece. You could do One Piece themed for most mobile games, and I'll still get excited for it. But I think just as a general, the game looks really solid. It's got a lot of other content creators and stuff are hyping for it, so it's got some momentum. So we'll hopefully it'll be executed really well. But yeah, it's starting off the year, getting my weeb on, so I'm pretty happy.
Weeb away. This will be a unintentional but intentional tease. My first episode of the watch list is coming, which details games coming out the next week that you should look forward to. And on the thumbnail, One Piece is the image that I put on there. So it's going to be a part of the watch list.
Oh, thank
and
you. Yeah.
Yes, and I hate One Piece. So
It's okay.
that's the
We're
interesting
all wrong
thing.
about something.
Yes, of course, that's fine. But I think I'm right about this one, and I'm not saying the whole thing because I want you guys to watch the watch list. But I will say this looks like it could be the best One Piece game ever. So, and I'm not a fan of One Piece, but I look at One Piece Odyssey and I go, I want to play One Piece. Like, I think this might be the game that gets me into One Piece.
And I mean, hopefully it brings in, a new audience who are like, oh, I haven't watched One Piece because it's, it takes 3 years to, catch up. Hey, maybe if I can play a game that'll take me 20 to 30 hours to beat, I can just catch up that way,
Yeah.
and kind of get the gist of it. So yeah, hopefully it hits that like anime and a lot of like franchise games that you have to find that good line between like satisfying the hardcore fans and then also trying to welcome in a new generation or a new player base. So hopefully it gets that happy medium.
I agree. Okay. I'll say one of mine. Mine is Forza Motorsport. The whatever the newest one is going to be called. But I'm really looking forward to that. It's been a while since Forza Motorsport came out. I'm looking really to see the power of the Series X, and usually racing games do that extremely well because of all the different things that, the car detail, weather effects, roads, um, the detail of the inside of the car. Those things really let these consoles shine. So I am looking forward to really seeing what the Series X can do. And I am also interested to see how Turn 10 will evolve Forza. We got new business models, we got new player bases. They're having to deal with Game Pass, and what I think they're probably designing around that too, because there's going to be a lot of people who get to play it because they're subscribed. They've never played Forza. They're going to be interested. What kind of things are they going to add that will draw players, keep them over a long period of time? David, what? Hey,
It's gonna be a battle royale. 100 cars drop in.
Yeah, drop in.
parachuting in off of giant airplanes. One big.
What is this? The
road.
A team?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What's sad is that a battle royale version of racing, I guess, is kind of already in Forza Horizon. So
Yep.
I guess if they make a realistic version of it, where if you're in last place, you just get deleted from the game and you just got to requeue for another one. Yeah, I guess that could work. But yeah, I guess I don't know if that would work. But now you got me all thrown off thinking about a battle royale for Forza.
Oh man.
But
Well,
yeah, I just think that
now,
you said what?
I was gonna say now that's the perfect opportunity to get, a Forza car in Fortnite.
There you
Not
go.
to drive, but
Yeah.
to be. Like just run everybody over. Like you're the only one. The limited time event.
be a Forza car, literally.
Yeah, that's
You're
20
faster
bucks.
than everybody. You're
Just
stronger
zooming
than
through.
everybody. You just lack a little bit of mobility. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the only drawback you have. It takes a little bit longer for you to turn around and do stuff. But yeah, I just think that now that Turn 10 has to deal with the fact that their game will be on Game Pass and a lot of people will have access to it, I think they have a different design challenge in making people stick around for something that is supposed to be more realistic. So I think there might be a lot of people who have been on the fence about racing sims, who will play it and go, this is for me, this is not for me, or are they going to add some features that might be maybe more Horizon-y, to give people a little bit of a mix. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Obviously, Turn 10 knows how successful Horizon has been, so I imagine some people who play Horizon will be interested in trying it. So, are they going to have stuff that will cater to them, even though it's a racing sim? So, I think that will be interesting. So, I am interested to seeing how that works. I think the game, Turn 10 is sticklers for having that realism. The hyper realistic people would say that it's not 100% realistic, and yes, it's still a video game in that sense. They're not going to make everything totally hyper realistic, but it's pretty dang hyper realistic. So I think they'll do good with that. So Forza is one of mine. David, what is one of yours?
So the first one coming up this year that automatically makes it on any list that I'm doing that has anything to do with most anticipated is Atomic Heart. I've been following Atomic Heart for a very, very long time, since the very first trailers dropped. And most people know I'm a humongous fan of BioShock. It is one of my favorite games when I am trying to decide whether something is a 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, however you want to look at it. My pillar of excellence, so to speak, is the original BioShock. Like that's doesn't measure up to that game. And this obviously that's really big shoes to fill for Atomic Heart, considering that I think it's very similar to it. But absolutely love the weird kind of, it reminds me of almost a Remedy kind of setting, and just this kind of psychological kind of horror, not really horror, but thriller, suspenseful uh thing that they've built here, with going into this location and finding these weird creatures and robots and all this kind of stuff that you're having to take out. And but then you combine it with the first person shooter melee, but then also the powers coming out of the left hand that they're building into this. So I'm very excited to get my hands on this one, to play this one. And I just love the setting. The whole, I said BioShock is automatic that I think of, but I also think of the Metro games with kind of the I don't want to say post-apocalyptic because I don't think this fits in that, but definitely the whole beat down abandoned science lab kind of feel.
Yeah.
Especially with it being set kind of in, I believe it's the 1950s is where this game is set. So anytime you throw something into that whole setting, it's just fun and interesting to me.
All right. Noah, what is your number 2?
It's going to be one that's probably on David's list as well, so I'm glad I get to talk about it first. Uh, Jedi Survivor.
Oh, okay.
No. Not there yet. I think we need to get an announcement for that before I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because no one knows what it is.
It'll be on there once it gets announced for me, but we got to get to the announcement.
Yeah. But Jedi Survivor, one of the biggest reasons I could never get into the Dark Souls franchise was I'm horrible at video games. So I just didn't have the ability to like fully get into the games and stuff like that. But with Jedi Fallen Order, when it came out, it had that boss fight style combat, and then the melee dodging base, but it had a difficulty option. And that's what drew me in. I was like, not only is it just a good start, but I can play it and not get mad. So it's just such a well-designed game. Cal is one of those characters that when he first got announced, we were all like, who's this, like, the guy from Gotham? How is he going to be, translated into the universe? And I think he's done phenomenal. Almost beloved. Like Dave and I always talk, we want to see him make it into the live action. It seems like every character from Clone Wars or, any other of the universe is getting a live action treatment. He really deserves to make it. So I really want to see where his story goes. On top of the Game Awards footage we saw, we didn't get a lot of like new gameplay. Like how are they going to evolve was previously there.
Yeah.
Besides, that there's a blaster maybe we're going to get to use. It's going to be interesting to see. But I'm hoping that it's just that, they're going to change and evolve it and give us new ways to fight and to use the Force and to engage with not only enemies, but the world itself. The traversal aspect of Fallen Order, I really enjoyed, especially the hidden areas of the map that you could go back to once you got certain abilities. I'm glad that's returning. Yeah, it's just going to be more of the first, hopefully. It's so hard. It's hard, but also pretty easy to come up with reasons to get excited for sequels, because you're like, I want more of the first one. Just give me that, but more. I'm pretty easy to please. Just take that and expand. So I'm hoping that eventually comes to fruition, because it's not too far away. So I'm excited.
Nice. All right. Uh, I am looking forward to The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I imagine that might be on your list. So far, we're on a good roll where all our games are different. So let's see what happens. But I am looking forward to that mostly because I want to see where it goes differently from Breath of the Wild. Will it stick to the things I didn't like weapon breaking, for example? Really didn't like that, and I hope
That's gone. I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, like
Yes!
you have one job, Nintendo, one job. Like,
But so many people like it, and all for not really great reasons. So they might keep it, but I hope they don't, or at least adjust it in some way. So I'm curious to see if they're going to do with the weapon breaking stuff. I also don't like the fact that there's hardly any guidance. I'm sorry. I use Google Maps to get to places where I need to go if I've never been there or I just haven't been there in a long time. And so when I have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and there's no waypoints, hey, I don't enjoy the getting lost part. If I want to move on, I want to move on. And if I can't, then I get bored. Let me get distracted on my own terms. Okay. Give me waypoints. So I hope they have that. And I liked the mini dungeons. I thought there were too many. So if they could reduce the amount of mini dungeons and give us more regular dungeons, you have my attention. So I really liked the regular dungeons that they had in Breath of the Wild. Those were good. The mini dungeons were good too in terms of the puzzles. There's so many. I'm surprised that they were as puzzling.
I felt like I sat there doing this all the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
why do you have your switch? Why are
The Maybe if I'm over here.
Yeah, there was definitely some of that, but I did feel like there were some clever puzzles throughout the whole time.
You're flipping your switch like the people in the signs.
Yeah, like I was like
catching it like the baton throwers, marching bands. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on.
Just like shaking it like a magic 8-ball. Like, please.
It's an etch a sketch. If I shake hard enough, it'll erase it.
2 hours of this, like, please.
Yeah. So okay, I guess you guys bring up a good point. Maybe a little less of the gyro stuff too, but just how about just a little less of the mini dungeons overall? Yeah, and some more traditional dungeons. I think Breath of the Wild could still, or this form of The Legend of Zelda can still be very good with some traditional Zelda like dungeons. I don't think Breath of the Wild was better because it was a bunch of mini dungeons. I think it was great because it was this open world design that kind of lets you do what you wanted to do when you wanted to do it, and you could take on the challenge in any way that you wanted to. So that's where the success is at. So I hope they pare that stuff down and really focus on the good stuff. So all right, David, what is yours?
So my next one is one that might also be on Noah's list, but I've got Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Because I am just so flippin' excited for this game. The original Marvel Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. Like that was the pinnacle of Spider-Man games, and this came in and was as good. I actually have the platinum trophy on it. I played it so much. But not only was the original so good, but then Miles Morales came in, and I mean, that game perfectly captured the spirit of Miles. Like it's I think we probably all have that idea of what Miles is now that we've all seen Into the Spider-Verse, or at least most of us have seen Into the Spider-Verse. And that's kind of what leads us with Miles, and that was captured in the game. And now we're getting both of them, both of these fantastic characters in the same game. And there's even possibly co-op. I don't know that that's going to happen. I know there's been rumors and stuff, but even if you're just switching between the two, like there's so many cool ways that they're going to be able to take Spider-Man 2 with how much world building they've already done. And I honestly don't think we're ready for it because we went through New York and we're like, oh, this is really cool, this is really big, and then we went through New York again in Miles Morales, like, oh, this is really cool, you know, we done this, but we're gonna jump into this. To me, I don't know that this is going to be the same island as far as size. Like, I feel like they're going to really. This is only on PS5. So they are going to go nuts with how big they make this game. That's part of why I'm wondering if co-op is on the table, because when you go PS5 only, you've got a lot more to work with. But then we're not even talking about the coolest part of all of this, which is Venom being a part of the game. And we don't know how that's all going to go down, but you know we're going to get a black symbiote suit. Like, you just know that somehow that's going to be a part of this game. And then from the narration of the trailer, you can guess that Kraven the Hunter is a big part of this, whether he's just in the. You do kind of wonder if they're doing the whole Mr. Negative being the big part of the trailers, and then we're going to find out that a bigger bad is in the background of all of this, especially since they've already hinted at Norman starting his ascent into Goblin. And maybe this whole Venom thing, because Venom is spoilers, but Venom is, I think we all can tell it's going to be hairy in this one, since they're going with the Ultimate Universe style of Spider-Man. So just, there's so much cool stuff that they're taking and they're building, and Insomniac being a part of this, it just makes you confident that this is going to be one of the best games of this year. They build great games.
That's a fair assessment. Historically, they're good.
Yep.
All right, Noah, what is another one of yours? I believe we're on number 3 now.
Number 3, yeah. So I guess I get the honor of doing the first repeat. Mine is The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, that one, I adored the first one. Kind of for a different reason than you, or for a reason that you didn't like it. I loved the getting lost aspect of it. It was just such a beautiful, lush world in terms of like setting, that I loved just exploring and getting lost and then figuring out, oh, hey, there's this thing here. I liked not having like almost not a waypoint or a linear path, but just I liked being able to just kind of go do what I want, because it's so relaxing. The setting and the vibe that it gives off is so relaxing that I just, even if I just wandered around just looking and exploring the world for a couple hours, that was just so, I want more of that. And it looks like from the trailer we're maybe getting some like sky islands to explore, which really has me excited, because I'm like, I can explore in the sky. But that's, I want to see what all, how big, they utilize that. Are we going to be on the ground most of the time? Or are we going to do a lot more in the sky? There's not much that I've seen, in terms of like percentages, I guess. So that's, I can't wait to explore and find out what kind of secrets are in the game. I mean, even now, however many years it's been since the game came out, we still are having people find and discover things in the game. So
yeah, I feel like GameSpot has like a new video like every month, and
hey,
it's like
this
72 things we found this time. It's like, what the? How do y'all find so much stuff?
How? And I'm like, if they did that just in the first game, how many are they going to be able to put in the second game if we get like new, abilities or things, to engage with the world? Yeah, those are my biggest things I'm excited for. I hope, like you, they take the best parts of Breath of the Wild and condense them and focus on that. Because there were some things that a lot of people had feedback with. So hopefully now that they've gotten, time to collect the feedback, they can utilize it and evolve the franchise. Because I think that's what a lot of people are really hoping, is they evolve. They don't just do the same, thing for the sequel, which is a valid worry with how big games are now.
Yeah, but it's still Nintendo. Nintendo's not notorious for repeating the exact same thing, minus
Yeah,
stuff like Pokemon and Splatoon.
yeah. So
See,
yeah, so
what they need
hopefully,
to do, is when you're flying, if you fly towards one of these islands and you miss it, they need to do the PS1 Spider-Man thing where you get a cutscene of him falling to his death and going, ah!
yes, look,
That's exactly the sound you make.
Quite literally, yeah. I mean, it was. I need to hear Link's. That'll be the first words ever out of Link's mouth in a Zelda game is him screaming.
just
As he
cuts to
goes
like
his
the
death.
open air. It's just open sky, and they're just like, ah.
Just goes past.
Dude, I thought you were gonna say battle royale.
Oh,
I
gosh.
was, I thought you were. I was trying to hold back my laugh.
Link is parachuting down.
100 links.
Everybody keeps spanning the sword spin.
I hope
It's like
David,
Smash Brothers down here.
I'm hoping David becomes like the journalist who's like, if
Everything
it's
should
not
be a battle
BR,
royale.
everything should be a BR, or like he only will review BR.
Oh, we were already joking around because we were talking about like doing a segment, uh, like a preview for games that are coming up of what we know about the game,
Yeah.
like a lot of places do. And we started joking, why Atomic Heart is the next Breath of the Wild, and, why Forspoken is the next Breath of the Wild. Like everything is gonna be why it's the next Breath of the
Everything's
Wild.
why.
Why Breath of the Wild 2 is the next Breath of the Wild.
One Piece Odyssey is the next Breath of the Wild.
Exactly. You'll get the clicks.
Why Forza Motorsport is the next Breath of the Wild.
No, that one's still the
Oh,
next big
gosh.
battle royale.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
just,
BR.
just the battle royale. Okay. Well,
Whew.
for I wanted to ask you, Noah, since
Yeah.
you enjoy getting lost, from your perspective, are you the type of person where if you see a waypoint, it bothers you, or it draws you to like I have to follow the waypoint since it's there?
No, I feel like I'm the person that
Tears of the podcast, by the way, all that laughing.
Tears of the
Jeez.
Podcast. That's an album name. But like I'm the worst person, and it's why it takes me so long to beat open world games or games with like specific areas, because game developers are like, hey, here's this waypoint, you should go there next. And I'm like, no, I'm not done. I'm gonna go the
Oh,
opposite
you're defiant.
way. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
defiant. They're like, hey, you should go this way. And it's like, no, I'm going to go the other way and explore
Yeah.
some more and make sure I collect everything that I can before I move on.
Yeah.
See,
No
this
one
is-
knows me. I need structure.
Yeah.
So do
Like,
I. So do I.
If I'm playing, I need structure. And if you have no waypoints at all, like Elden Ring, I'm like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm literally the guy who, if I have like an NPC, who's like giving me dialogue and stuff, I'll let them walk ahead of me to see where they're going to go and go the other way and explore until I'm satisfied and I've found everything like collectible wise. And then I'm like, oh, hey, there is no urgency in me at all. And I feel bad because I feel like canonically they're like, oh, we've got to stop this big bad person. I'm like, okay, see you in 2 weeks. Like, let me go explore area 1 for 2 weeks. You guys be okay. So
See,
yeah, that's
I think that's what the no waypointers don't understand about the waypointers. I'm the same way. I even do that in my platformers. If I have the ability to go left, I'm going left. Okay. I'm going to
Yep.
go left until I'm satisfied. And then I'm going to go right because usually you go right. So, same thing with waypoints. If I see the waypoint, I'm going to get distracted and I'm going to go a different day. I'm going to go do a different thing. I see something over there. I'm going to go explore that. But when it's time for me to want to explore the story or whatever else is next, by the waypoint, I want the waypoint there so I could go to the thing so that way I don't get lost.
Did you play Ghost of Tsushima, Anthony?
I did not.
Okay, they had a really cool, and I think you would appreciate this system. And Dave knows what I'm talking about. It's they don't give you necessarily. I mean, they give you a way, but like with Ghost of Tsushima, if you could explore the world and kind of do everything at your own pace, how you wanted to. But if you ever wanted to, you could swipe up on the touchpad, and it would give you a gust of wind that would tell you which way you needed to go. So it was
Yeah,
almost
it's
a
a waypoint.
hybrid of sorts. Yeah, it was a hybrid, so it
It's
was
a
good for
waypoint. It's
both.
just one gives you a
Yeah,
scent of smell, and the other one is just a marker on the map. It's the
yeah. I
same
think you
thing.
would appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I reviewed Horizon Forbidden West for us, and I spent 8 hours in the opening area, not going to the Forbidden West,
Yeah.
and I finally
right.
had to make myself go because I was like, "Crap, this review needs to get done, and if I keep staying here, it's not going to get done."
Yeah, but you didn't get lost on the way of trying to get done because you
No,
knew where to
I knew
go.
what to I also knew what to avoid, and
Right.
that's also an irritating thing is I don't want to walk into the end of the story on accident.
Yeah.
Crap, here's
So
Ganon.
you
Yeah,
know
like,
waypointers, okay? Listen to us, okay? It's not that we just want to be, we're lazy and we don't play games and all that. No, we just want direction when we want it. That's all. We still enjoy the stuff. Jeez.
When I play Elden Ring, I don't want to be stressed and lost.
Yes.
I just want to.
Yes.
I'm okay with being stressed, just not lost.
Can you the feeling of being lost? Like, have you ever been in a car and you're just lost? You're just like, God, because you just want to get to your destination. If you're
Yep.
playing Elden Ring and you're like me and David, and you're getting lost because you already want to get to your destination, and then on top of that, you got these strong enemies that are going to kill you all the time. Yeah, that's going to get frustrating after a while. I want to get to
Yep.
my destination and fight the challenge there. Okay, the getting lost is not part of the fun. All right. Anyway, that was a side note. My other game is Street Fighter 6. I got to play the the preview for that closed beta 2, and I am excited for where Capcom is taking this. What we haven't been able to see at length or at all really is the single player, and I am curious to know how the single player is going to bring more casuals in. Street Fighter 6 is definitely looking like it's going to be something that caters to them while also still maintaining a competitive atmosphere to it, as judged by the closed beta 2. There's already lots of competitive discussion going on with it, so it's satisfying that itch, and it's giving that to people. So no worries there. But in terms of what the story mode's going to be like, how all that open worldish type of stuff will be, it's very interesting, and I'm curious to know when people are done with that stuff, what's going to be left for people who don't play the competitive stuff or aren't very good at it, so they want a mix of things. What's going to keep them playing after that? I think Capcom has thought about those things, which is why I'm really interested to see what they're going to do. If they haven't, unfortunate, but I think they have. So, other than that, I mean, it's a beautiful game, and I just want to play it at this point. It's looking very good. So, that is mine. Uh, do we do yours, David? Yet I've
Nope,
lost
we haven't gotten to
track.
my number 3.
All right,
So
what's yours?
I am ready to go back to Star Wars Jedi.
All right, he's holding up the lightsaber for those who are listening.
Yes.
I was wondering what you got up
I
to
have-
get. I was
yeah,
like, you got
that's
up
why I
out
got
the
up.
Confused
chair.
all the
And I was
people. They're
like,
like, what?
there's something he didn't quite hide very
Yep.
well there. He got something,
Yeah.
but okay, it was a lightsaber.
Yeah, I grabbed Cal Kestis' saber, which I picked up.
There you go.
The
I am
suspense kill.
yeah. I am
Audio-
I love Fallen Order. I am not a I really enjoy the idea of Souls games, but most of the time I get to a point where I'm frustrated and I just quit because there's other things that I would be more interested in playing. Um, there's a lot of great lore I know behind the games, but I'm just not interested in searching it up, and the setting it does not draw me in as much. Star Wars though, you put Star Wars in the setting, and my interest is piqued, and I'm willing to overlook any difficulty and just keep playing. And I loved what they did with Star Wars Jedi and Survivor. Looks like it's just like the cool thing is they're done with the setup. Like we know why Cal has went the way he went. We know his backstory. Sure, we may get some more nuggets from it and whatnot, but we know a lot about him as a character. they don't have to set that up now, so they can dive headlong into this story about what is going on. The boy looks ratchet in in the the picture that we've seen of him, the images we've seen of him. He has been through it, and that's probably why the game is called Survivor, because he has just been out there surviving and trying to do his best. And like Noah said, it's going to be really interesting to see how they expand on their gameplay systems, because they went pretty darn far in Fallen Order. I mean, you could have gone through with just the single lightsaber and that would have been cool, but no, they gave you a double blade, and then they were like, hey, what if you like pulled that in half and used two lightsabers? So it's like, okay, we haven't necessarily done every single power and finisher and stuff that you can do with a lightsaber, but like lightsaber been done. Like we've kind of done what you can do with a lightsaber largely. So that was one of the first things I noticed and actually texted Noah about was, hey, the deluxe edition has a blaster. So it made me kind of wonder if that's going to figure its way into the combat somehow. How they're going to kind of combo things up and do that is going to be interesting. Not to mention, you see a whole lot of moments where Cal is like, there's one where he's riding like this almost chocobo kind of creature and whatnot. So whenever I see traversal like that, the first thing I think is this game is probably larger of a scale than we think it is. Like the environments that you could traverse were pretty good size, but everything in Fallen Order was linear enough that you didn't need some sort of special traversal besides force powers to get there. These environments, at least in my opinion, are going to be much larger and require the traversal methods like these creatures and whatnot. So that's going to be very interesting. And then just he already said it. Cameron Monaghan did such a great job as Cal Kestis, and I'm looking forward to seeing how his character continues to change. And then who the heck is this dude that's in the back of the tank? Like this dude missing an arm and whatnot, and then all these things that they're showing, these shots that it looks like it's from Coruscant with this political intrigue in the background of them trying to figure things. Like this is, it's just a good Star Wars story, and that's what I want anytime I play a Star Wars game, is a good Star Wars story. And Fallen Order did it. It looks like Survivor's going to do it.
I like it. All right. Noah, what is your number 4?
I almost feel like my list is like most anticipated sequels of 2020 because there's just so many sequels coming out. I'm hoping this drops this year. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Part 2, Remake Part, whatever you want to call it.
It said winter, so it could slip, but it could also be here.
Yeah,
so
that's all. It's that, teeter-totter kind of date that I get antsy about, especially the closer we get. But I never played the original Final Fantasy VII. Whenever they announced that they were remaking it, I thought about playing through beforehand, but at the time when I was working at GameStop, I was like, I can give people a good perspective on this if I wait and like just go in blind without playing. That way I could have the perspective of someone who had not played the original, so it'd be a good talking point kind of thing. And I fell in love with the game. I can see why it's so beloved among the industry and the fan base. The characters are endearing and relatable, and they talk like normal, if that makes sense. Like they have the dialogue interactions feel organic, and there's a great, even like every side character is just a good character, and well thought out. And that's not even going into like the story plot line. I want to see where that goes, because I have been lucky and been spoiler free for the most part of everything. So I want to see where the story evolves and where it goes, and kind of the repercussions of everything that happened in the first game. I want to see how it translates.
Well, and the cool thing with this one is just the fact that it's not a direct remake. Like they are actually
Yeah.
it's a tale of changing what's happened. So it's almost a multiverse kind of
Yeah.
ideal of
An evolution, a
Well, it's
remake.
expanding on the things
Yeah.
that weren't necessarily detailed in the original.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And this was,
'Cause-
they're playing a 3-part, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
literally like things are actually changing in the story, and they know. That's the funny thing is these characters actually know that the story is changing, with certain things that should be happening but that don't happen. So I'm incredibly impressed with the fact that Square managed to do this. Like, because
They
all
nailed
you
it.
had to do was hand money to somebody and say, hey, just remake it. No, they went a step further and decided, no, we're going to not just remake this, we're going to make it its own Final Fantasy VII story of Final Fantasy VII. So, just neat.
Yeah. It's, I mean, even the gameplay was very addicting because it was so fluid and visually impressive. Um, I played it again whenever they did like the PS5 enhancements, and you're just sitting there thinking, "Wow, this is some impressive hardware running impressive visuals." So I'm hoping they just go bigger and crazier.
Did you play the DLC, the Intergrade?
I didn't get that far into it. I wanted to just see the enhancements and like see the visuals. My goal is to I made a deal with Square even though they don't know it. Um, if they give me a hard release date for um, Rebirth, then I'm going to replay part 1 with the Intergrade DLC before it comes out because I want to have that like recap fresh in my mind. I don't want to just do the thing most of us do where it's like watch the summary in 20 minutes video on YouTube before I play the sequel to catch up. That's the deal I've made with them. So hopefully they'll give us an actual date. But yeah, I can't wait. Um, I think it's going to be just as fantastic as part 1. But yeah, I'm excited. So I think Anthony, are you up next?
Yes, I am. All right. I have for my 4th Diablo 4.
Nice.
So, Diablo 4. I think there's a lot of pressure on this one. And I think some of it is based on what in the world is Blizzard going to do from a business perspective, because people saw what happened with Diablo Immortal, and now they believe this can follow suit. I don't think it will. I think Diablo 4 will largely be void of the things Diablo Immortal did. That doesn't mean they won't have some microtransactions in it. I just don't think it will affect the actual gameplay of Diablo 4. I think it will be more Overwatchy in that way. Store, skins, little other stuff like that. So I think Diablo 4 is going to be fine. I tread lightly when I say I think it's going to be good, just because I am not familiar with Diablo 2. I didn't get into Diablo until Diablo 3, really. I didn't have a PC growing up, so I missed out on the Diablos. So when Diablo 3 came out, it was going to be on console. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, great. Like, I got to preview it at E3 and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I like where this is going. I finally get to play it. So people are talking about how, and Blizzard is also talking about how Diablo 4 is supposed to be more, it feels more like Diablo 2. Well, based on Diablo 2 Resurrected, I really don't like that. I feel like I might have aged out of being able to enjoy Diablo 2 at this point, because it did not feel great. But I am curious to know what they're going to do in terms of, a lot of people did play and enjoy Diablo 3. What parts of Diablo 3 are they going to keep as far as a modernized version of Diablo? And then what are they going to bring from Diablo 2 that's going to make it feel like that. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to Diablo feeling more modern. So it feels like Diablo 2, but it has a modern feel like Diablo 3. I think if they can marry that together really well, I think this is going to be maybe the best Diablo out there. I just don't think it's going to really follow anything Diablo Immortal ish. So I think we don't have to worry about that. David, what is your fourth game?
My fourth is probably a bit out in left field, but it is one that's personal, and that's Alan Wake 2.
Ah, forgot about that
Because,
one.
yeah, Sam Lake recently said something on Twitter that makes you think that it's still on track for this year. And I would like to personally take credit for Alan Wake 2 because I did a video on GameStop TV about the Control Ultimate Edition coming out, and I pled with Remedy and with Sam Lake to give me Alan Wake Remastered and Alan Wake 2, and somehow we got both of them afterwards. So
There you go.
you're welcome, world.
Yes.
No, but this is one of those cases where it's one of the most unlikely sequels to a game that I want that's actually happened. Because
Really?
there's lots of games I'm like, man, I want to play a second one. I want to do this, I want to do that. And it just like this definitely did not feel like it was ever going to happen. And I know we don't know a whole lot about it. We saw one trailer that didn't really have any gameplay, just had like this live action show of Alan and whatnot. But we know that it is moving into more survival horror styling, and that's not necessarily as much of my thing. But if they can keep kind of the core concept of Alan Wake, which is just that really great story behind everything, that psychological thriller tale behind what's going on. I mean, they did such a good job with the original Alan Wake. They've done such a good job with Control. I'm willing to forgive them with Crossfire X. After that, I'm getting Alan Wake 2. That's all that
That's a
matters.
bad just deal that they took on.
Yeah,
They never took that on.
that's called we're paying for other things.
Yeah.
Notice
But
he
Alan,
said willing, not guaranteed.
yes,
It's not guaranteed.
but just I can't wait to see where Sam Lake. He has such an incredible mind when it comes to making these odd, interesting stories that just draw you in, like he did with things like Max Payne. So I'm just very much excited to see where they take this because the for me at least the sky's the limit. Like they can really just go above and beyond with this, and I think they will.
All right. Alan Wake 2. Yeah, that was left field, but that not left field for you.
Nope,
All
not for
right.
me.
Noah, what is your fifth game you are anticipating?
My final one. Ooh. This one should come as no surprise also, because of my love of anime and all things. Blue Protocol is hitting my that one. I love me some single player games. I love story narrative driven experiences, but I also love me some grindy games. I for a long time was the Destiny 2 guy. I sunk so many hours into Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 for that. I'm like a hamster on a wheel. Just let me do the same thing over and over again, but give me a reason to do that, and I'll happily run on a hamster
Just
wheel.
like work.
Exactly.
I'll do it over and over again. Just pay me.
Yeah, just pay me good. Yeah, pay me money. But like recently, like it's a little bit of franchise fatigue for me with Destiny. I'll do the seasonal stuff, but it's more Destiny, and I really am wanting something that I can sink hundreds, thousands of hours into, and this looks like it is right up my alley. The anime aesthetic and vibe that it gives off alone um, sold me. I don't know how much you guys played Genshin. I like Genshin at the beginning. I like the feel and the aesthetic and the inspiration of anime, but the gotcha system kind of push me away from it. This, I don't have to worry about dropping hundreds of dollars to get a specific anime character because I can create my own. So I don't have to worry about that. So monetarily wise, I think it works. But yeah, having an MMO where I can just grind, you know, quests, go through dungeons, bosses with clan mates, and um, just explore the world. The world looks beautiful. Did either of you play Tales of Arise?
I did.
It gives me some Tales of Arise like world with the different settings, how they each look and feel territorially different.
Yeah.
So if we can just explore that each area even more so than what Tales of Arise led us to, I think it's gonna be. I'm hoping it makes a lot of money, which it's got Amazon Games backing it, so we know, just from New World that they're gonna give us a lot of content and support it. And it's an MMO. I'll gladly pay for more content.
I don't mention New World. It's not great. It's not a great game.
Well,
I feel like Blue
New World's-
Protocol needs to replace New World.
New World is just crazy because it'll go like come out and it's like everybody plays it nonstop for like 3 days and absolutely loves it, and then you never hear about it until like new content comes out, and then it's like the greatest thing ever for 3 days, and then it just gets forgotten about.
Yeah, you are reminded that, oh yeah, the combat feels good. Finding some of the loot is cool. But then you realize after the third day, oh yeah, this thing is freaking repetitive. God. Okay. Yep. It's fun while it lasted. You forget. You forget.
Yeah.
So as Blue Protocol and
Looks
Dokev.
so good.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait for both of those. But looks like Blue Protocol is going to come out faster than Dokev. So
the combat too looks really fluid, like a lot faster than Genshin, like in just animation and pacing wise. So I'm excited.
We could play that together. Let's grind that out together. There we go.
David knows.
Let's get
I'm
some
a Destiny.
streaming going on the
Yeah,
YouTube,
right.
boys.
If you guys want to watch Noah run the same dungeon for 4 days in a row,
dude, there's
hop on board.
I come from Borderlands. I'd do that all day.
Oh yeah.
So
Another game no one knows much about.
there we go. I didn't know you
cool.
knew about the Borderlands. See, okay. See,
Yeah,
I
the
know how to put you on a
Borderlands,
podcast.
yeah.
There we go. Fantastic. All right. My last one is Hades 2. So you guys know why. But
Oh yeah.
I do think this is an interesting question, and I don't think many people have asked it. How will Supergiant's first sequel go? Because everything they've done is different, and everything they've done has been iterative on each other. So you see with Bastion, then you see Transistor take some elements from Bastion, and then I forget the game after Transistor, but it takes elements from both Bastion and Transistor, and then you see Hades takes from pretty much everything that they've done up until now. So this is the first time that they've done something that's literally the same franchise as they've done before, and so it makes me ask the question, do I really want more Hades, or do I want something like a little bit different? It's kind of scary because I'm like, they've always done something different. And then I have the sub question of, do I really want more of the same Hades, or do I want something done differently within Hades? So they are moving in a different direction to me based on what I've seen. It doesn't look like they're going in a weapon-based direction. They're going to go in a magic-based direction. I don't know what that will look like, but that's what it seems like. I didn't see any weapons in the trailer, so I thought that was something that stood out. From there, it probably branches off into the different abilities you're going to get, how the gods bless you, and all that kind of stuff. So all of that sounds very interesting. It's just, is it going to feel exactly like Hades did, or are there going to be some nuances that when you play Hades and then you play Hades 2, it's like, oh, I can't use the same strategies. I can't do the same, type of things they feel like two different games, even though they are sequels of each other. So I wonder about that. And that's what also gets me excited. So Hades 2, that is my fifth one. David, what is your fifth one?
My fifth one, and this one, I've got an honorable mention, so I'll go with that after that,
Are you
because these two
cheating?
are very close. Yeah, I'm cheating. I'm cheating. Starfield.
Okay.
I have been looking forward to Starfield. I've said it already before with since the first trailer. No, they did the logo trailer, and I was excited. Like
Just a little spinning circle with the star. Yeah.
I've I've always enjoyed playing games like Fallout and Skyrim. I've not gotten sucked into them as much as some people have, but I like the world building. I like all of the everything tied together, the way the quests work. They always seem to come up with some really fun. Like that, there are a ton of side quests that are more fun than the actual story quests in those games. They just are. But Starfield scratches a different itch in that I'm a big fan of like science fiction, space kind of style stuff. And Starfield hits that because just going to be able to go all these different planets and whatnot. Outer Worlds was really a good chance to kind of explore a bit of that, but it was more on the funny, haha side and definitely a lot smaller scale. This is going to be a lot bigger and a lot more. I'm sure there will be some fun stuff to it, but there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be some serious stuff that you're going to be doing in this one. And like Bethesda keeps talking up the whole, oh, there's like 1,000 planets to explore. I'm I'm not as I don't care as much about that. I care when they bring up that the dialogue is going into that deeper side that we've seen Bethesda jump into before. Because Fallout 4, they dumbed down the dialogue too much, and most people weren't as happy with it because it didn't feel as impactful. And this seems like they're going back to that impactful dialogue that we've seen in the series, in the Bethesda games before it. Not to mention, they said that they've recorded more dialogue, I believe, than Skyrim and Fallout 4 combined. And that's just incredible. So Mass Effect meets No Man's Sky meets Fallout. I'm good. That's exactly the kind of a game that I want.
It's a good way to put it. Mass
And
Effect meets No Man's Sky meets, what did you say? Fallout. There you go.
Fallout, yeah. And like I said, cheating Final Fantasy 16 is also something I'm very excited about, and it gets honorable mention because it's graphically insane, and the whole monster battle summons kind of thing sounds amazing. and then you just know, especially since Yoshi P is like personally wrote the whole thing, that there's a good chance this could be one of the best Final Fantasy games to ever release when it comes to story. So
All right, his 5 and 5A.
exactly.
Cheating.
I have to. There's so many good games coming this year, and we probably
I
don't
know.
even know about half of them.
Yeah.
That's the
I know.
crazy thing.
We've got some great DLCs too.
The
Like
podcast has
some
to end,
big
okay? But that's why I
expansions.
said 5. All right. All right. Those are our top 5 most anticipated games. There are people who publish and make these games, though. And so they got some big shoes to fill in 2023. Let's talk about what we want to see from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, because things are supposed to happen this year from all 3 of them. So let's talk about it. So I'll start with Sony. Let's all start with Sony, what we want to see from them. One of the things I want to see is what will their free-to-play game structure stuff look like? We're going to start seeing that come out pretty soon. It's supposed to be this year. Start seeing they're supposed to have more than
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're supposed to have
That's why
more
they
than
acquired-
12 total or something like that.
Yeah.
I
And
think it was
they acquired
10.
Bungie. Yeah, they acquired Bungie to help with them.
Yeah. So
Like,
I and I'm trying to remember there was a free to play game under that. It triggered my thought. I saw a news story. I guess Naughty Dog had posted another picture, I think, of their multiplayer today. That is January 5th as of this recording. So it made me think, oh, maybe Last of Us is actually one of their free to play games that they're going to be releasing under the Sony banner. And so maybe Bungie's helping with that, yada, yada, yada. I don't have anything confirmed, but that is a guess that I have about that. So it'd be interesting to see, like, if that ends up being the a one of their free to play games, how that turns out.
Now, I will say, I think they said their live service. I don't know that they necessarily said free to play
Okay,
specifically. Just to
fair.
let you know on that.
That's fair. Live service could be free to play,
Could
but
be,
it,
yeah.
it could not be. Overwatch was originally paid, but also a live service. So, but um, with so many that they have coming out, with so many that they are developing, they sound serious about it. But I also wonder if they're stretching themselves too thin in being able to put enough resources available in order to get it all done. Yes, they are a big corporation. They have a lot of money. They can hire people. But PlayStation also seems to be, they come off to me as if they're a little desperate right now, particularly with Microsoft and the acquisition stuff. And like, they seem like they're penny pinching. Not that they actually are, but that's what it feels like in the way how desperate they feel about, oh my gosh, we don't want to lose this money thing. And of course, as a corporation that's meant to help fill investors' pockets, yes, you don't want to lose any of the money. But PlayStation's doing quite well. It's the best brand among Sony. So I think they're okay. With that said, this is not their bag. Free to play is not their bag. The type of things they're good at is single player, story driven, the God of War kind of games. They're very good at that. So if they can pull this free to play stuff off, which I am trepidatious about, great for them and great for us because we'll have some more free stuff to play. Hopefully, it's good. But with as many as they want to release, I don't know how many will actually hit.
Well, I guarantee you some stuff is throw crap at the wall and see what sticks. Guarantee
Sure.
you some of it is. But I also am fully on board with this is why Bungie is here. Bungie is sharing all of their expertise. And like you said, it's not Sony's bag. That's why you spend so much money, not just to acquire Bungie, but spend literally a whole nother 1.2 billion in bonuses to make sure people stay that can teach you how to do this right. It will it make a difference on every single game on that list? No, but I'm willing to bet there's a couple that will hit because Bungie is helping them do it right.
So I heard
Just a thought, but
for all the Destiny listeners, I heard something pretty scary from a friend over the holiday break. We were talking about Destiny, and we were talking about Sony and the free to play stuff, and how Bungie is helping them out. Their theory is that Sony bought Bungie, and what's going to happen is Sony's going to start offering some of the Bungie employees different positions at these different developers, so that they can help develop these free to play games. They know what they're doing, all that stuff. So it's not how I was previously perceiving it, that Bungie would just stay together, work on Destiny, but also help with these other developers. They think that Sony will actually start sucking developers out of Bungie and putting them in different places, which then will leave Destiny as a husk. Which I was like, wow, that would suck.
I don't think that's what they're trying to do personally, but
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's
I
what
could
they're
see that
trying
happening.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Bungie is hiring like crazy because they're expanding, and I think a lot of it is to help work on all that stuff for Sony. But the Destiny has such like props to Bungie. They have really changed their philosophy and their mindset. The people, it's kind of that you support yourself so well with the people under you that way if you do leave, you've ingrained everything into your successors. Because the guys like Joel Golgroth, now who's game director of Destiny, he started out as a raid designer.
Yes, yes. Okay,
So
yeah.
yeah, I don't see them. I think that if they do decide to leave and go to Sony for whatever, assistance, they that they need, I have full faith that the people that replace them, I think Destiny will be fine whether it stays at the same quality, you know. Um we'll see.
Well,
But
probably the more interesting thing is the fact that one of the big guys over at Bungie actually said they have several unannounced projects they're working on right now.
they
So
have
I would actually worry more about those detracting from Destiny more than I would the other, because I could actually see Sony more, hey, we're working on this. Can we send people over to you and kind of do that whole thing that Noah was talking about with ingraining kind of some concepts into people and almost using Bungie as a training ground even more than just, hey, you go fix this team. Because I feel
we
like
know,
Sony does a really good job with that kind of stuff.
kind of being like, can't like, hey, you guys know what works.
Yep.
Like, keep doing what you're doing and help us. Like, we know Bungie's got some mobile game in the works because they got a huge backing from a couple of corporations, big investments, and then we also know that they're working on a multiplayer kind of PvP only hero
Yeah,
shooter.
hero shooter, I thought.
Hero shooter that I would, my theory is that that's what one of the reasons Sony acquired them was to get that live service game.
Hey, yeah. This is my point. I wonder what's going to happen with Sony.
It's so crazy. We're like, oh, what's this? This is gonna be, no. This is what's happening. That's probably like 5-6 years down the road. It's
Oh,
fun
yeah.
to play the guessing game.
All right, David, what do you expect from Sony?
So something that I want to see from Sony is an early showcase. CES did not have much, which that, I'll be honest, if you were going into that thinking, oh man, they're about to show off everything, you
No.
have never watched CES.
Yeah, it's the Consumer
CES
Electronic Showcase. Like,
CES
no.
is literally not for what you wanted. Like, if you get anything, you should be happy about it. Like, we actually got more than I honestly expected when Jim Ryan went up on the stage.
Why I didn't get Spider-Man 2 gameplay at the CES.
So, but the thing is we really don't know a lot of what Sony's up to this year. Like, we know Marvel Spider-Man's coming out. Marvel Spider-Man 2, they've reiterated that. We know that Final Fantasy 16 is coming out, which that's not even Sony's public. Sony might be putting the money behind it, but they're not making the game. So
We know they're not putting it on Xbox.
Yeah. But Wolverine is, I think, the only other announced game beyond The Last of Us. Like, we know what a couple games probably are. Like, we know Sucker Punch is probably making Ghost of Tsushima 2. That just makes sense. But, like, we've just had several games come out, and we don't know what Sony has a lot more studios than people think, and we don't know what any of them are making. They've said 25 games in development. Like, we at some point we need to start knowing what some of what the roadmap is. I'm not saying, pull an Xbox and announce games that may not be out for another 5 years, but
No, that sounds like exactly what
Sony's done that. Because Sony's done that too. But, like, if something is coming soon, you do have to start telling me, okay, why am I buying a PS5? You've given me a lot of good reasons for it with Horizon and God of War and stuff. People want to know what's next, and you've got to at least do some of
Call
it.
of Duty.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. But I'd like to see what studios like Sucker Punch, Blue Point, what's their next project. But they've also got some smaller studios that they have working on exclusive stuff, like Deviation is working on apparently a live first-person shooter live service game. I'm very excited to see how that goes. They recently hired Tony Flame from the Black Ops series. They've got quite a few people from like Destiny and Black Ops that have come to make this studio. So it could be really really cool. It could be Sony's next big first person shooter for all we know. Guerrilla has apparently been working on a secret project for quite some time. We don't know what that is. The biggest thing is we didn't get a showcase out of Sony at all last year. Like they did smaller state of plays. We did not get a regular showcase. And at some point, Microsoft is going to step up to the plate and start giving us dates for some of these huge games they have this year. Sony needs to get in gear and start they need to keep holding on to the market's attention, because right now they have it, but they can lose it real fast because all Microsoft has to do is start showing these games that we've been promised and start attaching dates to them, and then all the attention's theirs.
You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Sony in the last, might even say since the PS4, has played more defensively.
I can agree with
If
that.
Microsoft does something, then Sony will do something. That's what it seems like they've been doing, which I think in some ways has been successful. So maybe they are waiting on. Well, waiting might be a stretch, but for certain things, maybe they are waiting on Microsoft to put some dates on some stuff, so that way when they finally do it, it's like, oh yeah, Microsoft. Oh my gosh, they're actually doing something. And Sony's like, oh my god, this goes to Tsushima too. Who gives a flip about Microsoft?
They've also been a little bit of Nintendo-y in the sense of they've waited until they for sure knew something was coming out before they gave a lot of information on it. So
I've been arguing for a long time. Sony has followed Nintendo's model for
they have
for pretty closely.
But like, you know, we know like all the devs are talking about how excited they are for Spider-Man 2 to come out. Let us see Spider-Man 2. We have one trailer. That's it. Let me see Spider-Man 2. You apparently very excited about what you're seeing. Let me see it.
I want to be excited too.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why they're telling you. So that you can be excited about the
Give
idea.
me gameplay.
Yeah, gameplay. I'm a simple man.
All right, Noah, what do you want to see from Sony?
You guys are going with all these like, future, like give me the big stuff. I'm a simple man. I want to be able to
on the controller.
It's close. I want to be able to customize my controller. That is all I want. I want to be able to go to.
Now you're talking about Xbox Design Lab, essentially.
Yeah. Like I'm sorry, but like I'm like Sony. I always made the joke, like in the retail world, that Sony is very reserved with their color palettes. Like, oh, there's this new, slightly darker shade of purple controller. Like, no, just let me go to your website, pick a vast array, a plethora of different colors, and let me design my own controller how I want. And you could sell the DualSense Edge controllers, but if you make it exclusive to that, like, hey, you want to have like, rainbow colored DualSense Edge, order it off our website. I'm just a simple man. I just like different colors on my controller.
I mean, they took a big swing making the PlayStation 5 white. So, yeah. I mean,
see, my joke in retail was on PlayStation, I spend more time playing games than looking at my controller. So
that is true. But before I start playing the game,
how else do you buy it? You got to look at it first, man.
Hey, they've gotten a lot better than they have back in the like PS3 days, where it was like black, red, and blue. That's it.
What's that? Yeah.
Be happy. Yeah. Not to mention that controller sucked. So
it was an awful controller.
Yeah.
All right. What do we want to see from Microsoft? So I'll start. I want them to keep Game Pass the same price. I know that's a stretch, but it's what I want to see. I know inflation exists, but instead of increasing the price, I would rather them bring more awesome games onto the platform, and instead of having people leave or try out the $1 thing and then leave, no, just bring more people on and make them stay longer. So that way you don't really have to raise the price. Now I know it's tricky because Phil Spencer talks about, we've kind of hit the peak of the amount of people who would subscribe to Game Pass, which I don't 100% believe that, because that's not how a growth person thinks. But with that said, where Game Pass is now, that's probably what he means by that. And I would say, I mean, part of the niceness about Game Pass right now is that price is $15 for Ultimate, $10 for console or PC. It is very, very good. You go up in price, people are going to unsubscribe. You're not going to get more people when you raise the price. You will get more money. So I get that, but it might be one of those things where it kind of evens out, where,
that's usually what happens.
Yeah, you get the max amount of people subscribing, but then you up the price and then the people drop out, and then you kind of level out with the same amount of money. It could happen. I'm not a economics major. I don't have a PhD in economics. So, maybe they could do the math and figure, yeah, if we raise the price this much, even if we lose this many people, we're fine. But I would rather them just increase the amount of good games on there, so that way, people can stay. We get to keep the same price. We get to play more good games. I'm not even suggesting that they put more free stuff on there. That's not, I don't even care about that stuff.
Yeah.
Just give us more things to enjoy Game Pass with. It's already great, but there's always room for improvement. And I think if you can secure some stuff, Final Fantasy VII Remake, somehow make that happen, things like that, hey, go for it. Yeah, that is mine. David, what is yours?
This one's a little bit more immediate, and some of it is because I just want to play it now. Starfield should hit before June. There are a lot of different rumors that are going around. The main one is that Redfall got internally delayed, and it is hitting in May, which that's fine. You're trying to figure out how you want to do that one. And I don't know that I believe all of the talk that Starfield was in a better state than Redfall, so Redfall jumped it, because Redfall was originally before Starfield. I think it's still probably in the same area. But that being said, if Starfield can make its way out in the next 3 to 4 months, it's going to capture a lot more attention. It just will. By the time you get to June, there are so many games that are going to be out. Like that.
Yeah.
I know that Final Fantasy, it's only on PlayStation, so it's not going to necessarily discourage people from playing Starfield on Xbox and on PC. It's not going to be on any platforms to be a decision. But Diablo 4 will be. Diablo 4 will be up there as and available. Game Pass does help Starfield, but it just makes so much more sense to put it out before other things have a chance to steal gamers' attention. To be, you don't want it to get buried on. You don't want it to be the next Horizon and get buried on Twitter because of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Like, you want Starfield to be the thing everyone's talking about. And I don't think that it will necessarily happen, because Bethesda games certainly have a way of, even if they aren't critically received as well, that they can still continue to live well past it.
Yeah.
But
Skyrim.
Yeah, but especially with some it looks like on Xbox Series X, Starfield's going to run at 30 frames per second. And while that is not necessarily a detriment to any game, because gaming can still run good at 30 frames, don't tell me that's not going to be the huge, nasty, negative talking point on Twitter, as opposed to, oh, the dialogue is so incredible. This you don't want, if you put it out and you get a lot of that, then if you've got other big games out around it, then people are just going to gravitate to those other games and talk about those games, and the positives and the negatives will overwhelm Starfield. I just think Starfield needs to come out ahead of time. Like if you can somehow, there was a rumored March 23rd was a rumored date. If you can hit that, I think that is great for that game because it gets out ahead of so much else.
Well, that we like to play games together. I think that's the best part about video games. So if we get the chance, if we get the chance to have a moment where we can just play it would feel more like the Animal Crossing thing where it was COVID and then Animal Crossing comes out and it's like, oh yeah, like this is the game everybody's playing right now because it's basically the only thing out that's new. Yeah, if we get that, then that would be fun. That would be fun for all of us. That obviously would be beneficial to Microsoft, but it would be fun for us because the sorrows, the joys, the all of that we get to experience and explore together. I don't think it will hit as hard as Elden Ring. I think Elden Ring was an anomaly in terms of the way it just stole people, but I think Starfield has that potential. I don't know if it has Skyrim potential, but Bethesda has a track record of doing what you talked about. It just sucks people and it keeps them well past the time it should. And yes, the earlier the release it, the more we get to enjoy that experience together. All right, Noah.
Let's see. So Microsoft, I think they haven't really announced much in terms of games recently, but I want them to kind of do what Sony is now doing with their branding. I want them to expand into other forms of media. They could have announced stuff that I just haven't seen, but we've gotten a Halo TV show that people forgot about that was on Paramount Plus or
part of that was because it was kind of sucky at parts.
that's why. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they have some, especially after the Bethesda acquisition, they have some really good properties that I think could be a great foundation for them to expand their platform, with some theatrical, it don't even have to be like, HBO, like throw it on Netflix. Everything's going on Netflix. Like, like if we could get some Fallout TV shows, some
Amazon is actually doing a Fallout TV show, by the way.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's like just more. Like give us more quality, give us some theatrical stuff. Like I think that would go a long way in helping strengthen their name and get more people not only, invested in the consoles but in their universes. Like I said, I look at The Last of Us, like look at how much effort has been put into that show and look at how many awards it's probably going to win. And it's just going to get more people, hopefully will be people who have HBO Max watch this show and they're like, oh, there's a video game about that. Like, that's just a new person you're getting to not only buy your games, but your console. So like I said, I think that's something that, there might be stuff that they have in the works just unannounced, but I'd like to see some more, expansion stuff from them.
A Fable show would be really cool to go along with the new game. Like you could do something really fun with that.
They have a lot of really good, baselines that they can explore from, some great universes and some great worlds. So
I mean, let's be real, if Sony can do a Gran Turismo movie.
I mean,
here's the thing about the difference between Sony and Microsoft. Like Microsoft, they've delved into multimedia outside of video games, particularly with Halo. But Sony does that so much because that's what Sony does. Like that is they were a motion picture studio before PlayStation came out, right? They were selling TVs before PlayStation came out. Now they're combining and unifying these things and going, we make these beautiful looking games that would go great with our TVs and go great with the idea that we make motion picture, we make TVs, we make movies. So this makes sense that Sony is taking franchises that are doing very well and going, oh, this looks like something that could be adaptable to TV or streaming or a movie. So you got The Last of Us. Obviously they have the Spider-Man license. They're making the game more cinematic in nature. They're going in that direction with it. Fun gameplay. I would say Spider-Man actually is the most like cinematic video game that has fantastic gameplay. But I say that because I'm not a fan of the way Sony does that stuff. But I think that's the difference between Sony and Microsoft. Microsoft is more services oriented, which is why it takes them forever to get some games going and all that. When Xbox came out, like the glory of Microsoft at the time was Xbox Live, right? Like Halo was fantastic, but oh my God, because of Xbox Live, we could play together, right? That's what Microsoft's strength is, services. Now we got Game Pass. Service, Windows, kind of a service, Microsoft 365, it's a service. So I don't know if Microsoft really wants to expand in that direction because it's not their thing, but I don't know, we'll see. Now that they're getting Bethesda, obviously they got Fallout, maybe we'll get some Elder Scrolls, something that could tap into the what was that, Game of Thrones audience a little bit, maybe. Yeah. So we'll see. They're not Sony.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
There were rumors they were looking at Netflix.
What, of acquiring them?
Microsoft.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Not going to say obviously that it's true, but there's smoke. They could have at least asked. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have say with the way that they've acquired things. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't be like, "Hey."
Phil just sent a text like, "Hey, is this ballpark number good?"
Well, more Satya. I'd say it's more Satya sitting.
You need more zeros, or is this good?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you kind of said, it's not really their thing. It's very unlikely that they heavily pushing that, but I think it's just because I'd like to see them do that because I think they've got some good properties that would make for good content. Yeah. I don't want them to not be too afraid to try it.
Well, it's a smart thing to capitalize right now because it's another way to ingest content and you keep it in front of people, and not to mention it's a way to grab a hold of a more casual audience who is willing to watch a movie but not play a game and get them interested in going and playing the game.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for much. I'm not asking for like a straight adaptation. Just like put some stuff in the universe and throw the name on there. That's all you gotta do. So we'll see. I'm doubtful, but I'm a dreamer.
All right. David, you had something else you wanted to add for Sony. What else do you want to see them do?
Well, I actually had Sony and Microsoft both another one because mine are very separate. For Sony, my second one is actually to find a few big VR third-party games.
Okay.
I think that from what we're hearing out of, I think that PSVR 2 sounds awesome. I've got one ordered myself. I'm looking forward to getting that at the end of the next month. And everything I'm hearing out of CES is that it's awesome. Like the tech itself is just great to play with. It's really fun to use. The face haptics on the headset are apparently really will wow you when you're using the headset. Like just a new way to kind of ingest VR, and that's VR for you. You have to try it to really get it. VR's a very almost impossible sell just based on word of mouth. You really have to try it for yourself.
You do.
But something else that will sell VR is a killer app. If you do not have a killer app, you can't sell it. Horizon seems big. It seems like it'll be a really good one, but I don't think it's necessarily... It just doesn't feel like a system seller. It seems like something where it's like, okay, I have the PSVR. It's a game I have to have, but it's not the reason that I bought the PSVR, if that makes sense.
Well, I think the conundrum with that strategy is, like you said, you got to try VR.
Yeah.
And so how do you convince people to buy VR when they don't
Yeah.
really have the accessibility to try it? And so you
By
can have
grabbing
all kinds of the killer apps that you want, but if they actually haven't put the headset on to get a feel for what it is, how can you still sell it, right?
here's how you do it. You grab Half-Life Alyx. They get Half-Life Alyx on it because that is an actual will sell VR headsets game. Like there's some titles that you trust, and it's like just based on the title alone. That's the reason I'm getting this. There are people who will upgrade their console because of a specific game coming to that. There are people who will grab PS5s because of Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
You need that on VR, and something like Half-Life Alyx.
But
To me,
VR
that's revolutionary.
VR is different in feel though. Like people
Yep.
will buy a PS5 because of a game, but they also know the way they play games is not changing. The way they play a VR game is changing. Could feel weird. Like me, I am not into VR because it covers my face, and like it's not a claustrophobic thing. It's just I don't want to spend a lot of time playing with something over my face. So like it's just I like being hyper aware of my surroundings, but you can put I've heard of Half-Life Alyx is good. I have no desire to buy a VR thing to play Half-Life Alyx. I just think VR has a bigger hurdle to solve than just put a game on it and people will buy thing.
I agree with that concept completely. I just think that it becomes much more must buy with a game like that, because Half-Life Alyx is a game that sells the item, compared to Horizon is a game you should have on that item.
Yeah.
But not to mention, I also think that they need to acquire at least 2 more VR centric studios this year. They've already lost out on Camouflage to Meta, and Camouflage is actually working on a PSVR exclusive game, I believe. So that contract will probably be fulfilled. But here's the thing: you don't get anything after that game. If that game, let's imagine that game ends up being revolutionary on PlayStation VR, you can't get a 2, because unless you do a really good deal with Meta. And that's the other thing, is Meta is jumping into that space head first. They bought all these. I'm actually very surprised they were able to convince Meta to make Beat Saber for PSVR 2, because Meta owns that studio.
Yeah.
So you have to go out and start grabbing studios. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the new Ghostbusters game may actually come to Meta first, and Sony is having that game made. So like, once again, you have, if VR is something you're trying to sell, you need to figure out the best ways to sell it, and it's games. I mean, it's getting the best. If you cannot get people under the headset, you have to put out games that make them want to get under the headset.
Yeah, I think that is the weird part to me.
And that's why demos
give
are
them
going
a
to be
reason
so
to put on the
important.
headset.
You have to force the headset onto them so that way they can see how good it is.
And I mean, it's going to come down to people being able to visit Best Buy and try it, because that's what happened with the original PSVR, is they had these demo times that they got to try, and that sold people who bought it. That's what's going to have to happen, because the thing is, the PSVR is going to launch away from retail. It's only launching from PlayStation Direct. So like you said, that it's all enthusiasts in this first run. It's only enthusiasts.
For sure. And I think people like yourself who've played it will help sell it more, because and I played Astrobot. Love the frick out of Astrobot.
So good. They need another Astrobot game.
So good. And I was like, this sold me. But it hasn't sold me enough to want to go buy something. Either it's because my PC isn't strong enough. There's so many barriers to the idea of getting VR. You got to pay $500 just to get the PlayStation 5, and then you got to spend another extra money to get the PSVR 2. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not.
Oh, it's a consumer barrier, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and more the lower consumer, because like people like me understand the value because PSVR for the cost is actually pretty effective compared to other
It is.
VR beyond Meta,
Great
beyond
value,
Meta,
great
obviously.
value, yeah.
But Meta
Great
is
value as a
Meta
headset
is
by itself. If you don't have a PlayStation 5 at all, it's actually pretty close to just buying a headset on its own, although it has that barrier because you need to
Yeah.
have the PC as well. But yes.
and Meta is very much an entry level. People are amazed by the Quest, and it's like, wait until you experience like hooked up to a good piece of hardware VR.
Yeah.
Like this is not the best VR has to offer. It's very good. It is not even close to what the best VR has to offer.
Yeah, it does. I don't think when VR first came out, it was short on games. I think
Oh, yeah.
VR is in a much
And had short games.
Yeah.
They were like you were like an hour, 2 hours, and it was like $40. Like, what the heck?
I think that's
Hello?
what people could handle at the time. But yeah, the price was ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it
It was also
there's games
expensive to
now.
make. They were expensive to make too,
Mhm.
because it was very fresh engines and stuff being built.
They got games now though.
Yeah,
Lots
there,
of games.
there are reason to buy a VR headset. I just think VR has a very particular challenge, different than consoles. in
it's so
terms
much
of-
bigger than it used to be, but it's still niche. Like that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah. All right, Noah, did you have
Um,
another Sony or Microsoft thing you wanted to see?
It kind of, I had one Microsoft, and it's mostly, me dreaming or just thinking of ways that they could improve themselves. To go along with Game Pass, I agree. I hope it stays the same price, even with all the, factors going in. But I would like to see either them reinvent games for gold or just find a way to strengthen it.
Or just get rid of it?
Do something. Yeah,
Sink
like
that ship,
reinvent it.
boy. Sink that ship.
I would like to see. I think there's a place for it, but I think that it needs. to
Yeah, in the
definitely
trash.
Now, do you see why it needs reinventing?
Yes,
Do you see?
I
Yeah.
totally
Okay,
know why it
okay,
needs reinventing
okay, my
because
point
it sucks.
stands.
I mean, there's no
Exactly.
way around it.
Exactly. So it needs something new, something fresh.
What do you think games with gold needs?
It needs maybe movies.
Huh.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
That'd still be
I
interesting.
think you're actually
Yeah.
onto something. I'll tell you
Midas
why.
just
I'll
said
tell you-
something so stupid, it's brilliant. Like,
Here, no, I
let's
think
put
there's
movies
something
and
to
games for gold, and people
I'm
are like,
going to prove your point right now. So first of all, games don't seem to as big as the games industry is, it doesn't seem to garner like such a huge attention span from the general public the way movies and TVs do. For example, Gamefly started with games. Now they do games and movies, right? So you look at all the websites that are out there. They used to just be games, GameSpot, Polygon, Kotaku, now they
Yeah.
games and entertainment.
Even
Why?
we're talking about movies.
Yes, even we do that. So for some reason, games just doesn't do. But if you put movies with it, okay, now we're gonna. It's not like Xbox doesn't have movies you can rent on there. So what if you could, maybe it wasn't you held it forever. Maybe it was just for that month. You could watch this movie for free. I don't know, but anyway, I'm helping you out.
hey, I might have just said something so stupid it works. There we go.
Was that it?
No, I set the bar pretty low for you guys. For Sony, I had the I would like to, along with being able to customize my controller, I kind of went very controller heavy. I mentioned it earlier, but I wanted a accessibility focused controller announcement from them, and we got one at CES, so it's kind of yeah.
Woo, they did it.
I was like, hey,
We did it.
check
Yeah.
that. Thank you. I won't
There
get the
you
other
go.
one, but I'll take I'll take
It's
back
good of you to think
500.
of that. I wouldn't have thought of that. There you go. Already done. Check.
Yeah,
I-
perfect.
I have one more Microsoft one, and this is one that has been on this show before, discussed in great detail. They have got to get their studio management under control.
Oh, all the people
And
leaving?
it's not people leaving, it's that you went on an acquisition spree and have very little to show for it. I get that there's a pandemic. I get that there was issues, but both of your competitors have still had big AAA games coming out. Like that, you have to have fruits of your labor. And what we are hearing around the water cooler, so to speak, is that Xbox is very relaxed with their teams. Which the talk is that they were really hard on Lionhead. Like they were really over the top hard on them, and that didn't work. Well,
Is that the Dan Matrick era?
Possibly, I don't know.
Remember.
They tested out that Fable Legends thing that was terrible and never
that
went anywhere, and then they disbanded the studio. But I think they went a little bit too tough in the thought of, okay, well, we need to be a lot more hands off. And this isn't a one size fits all thing when it comes to management. Different studios need different amounts of attention. And I'm not saying that anyone at Xbox, I'm not saying let's fire Phil Spencer, it's all his fault, or let's fire Matt Booty. No, if anything, they probably need to bring in some additional hands into upper management to help, because Xbox has grown so fast. And it is tough when you expand so fast to have correct chains of command, to have the right management in place. Like when you acquire a publisher like Bethesda, there are already pre-existing chains of command there. You don't have to go in and say, okay, we've got to rework management. But when you're acquiring 5 studios, especially when not every one of these studios has a Tim Schafer, or has people that like Obsidian have, because Obsidian, I feel like Obsidian is the Insomniac of Xbox. Like their output is just incredible. You don't have that in every studio. So you can't just be hands off and be this, okay, well, it'll work itself out. We've heard all these issues that Undead Labs has had with I believe there was actually harassment issues in that studio. Rare restarted Everwild completely from the bottom. Fable has apparently had a lot of issues. The 4chan thing isn't correct with all this, oh, they're switching engines and all this. No, they've just had issues internally with the game looking rough. And we don't even have to really get into Halo because we've already gotten into that a bunch of times before, of just the massive amounts of issues they've had, along with constant people departing that studio. It points to, you need stronger management. And stronger doesn't mean that you're over managing. It just means that you're putting the right attention in the right places. It doesn't mean that you have to be overbearing with every studio, but you do need to sometimes step in and say, look, you've been working on this project for this long. We've got to get to beta. We've got to stop being in alpha. One of the reasons PlayStation does so well is they have so many strong managers in their individual studios. And there's a reason why you're starting to see PlayStation split into, and some of it's they've been around for a while. So they've been able to develop strong leaders. But you've had some of these studios be able to split into multiple teams. And that's why Sony has been able to put out all of these games, is because they've been able to take these people, promote people from within, continue to grow their teams, but have the right people in place in these teams, and be able to continue on during one of the toughest times of development. So, like I said, it's just, the thing is it's not, I always hate to do that, it's not acceptable, but you should have more results from having this many studios. Like, especially considering a lot of these were purchased before the pandemic. And it's a product of not having the strongest management. We should not be hearing all these issues from that. Like I said, I'm not speaking that everybody needs to be fired. I'm just saying you need stronger managers.
How many times do you hear from GameStop corporate?
What? Me?
How many times have you heard from GameStop when you worked for, and when you did, David, when
like,
you
who's he
used to
talking
work for GameStop? you work for GameStop? How many times do you hear from corporate?
I'll put it this way: when we were being mismanaged, I heard from them quite a few times. Like what we would get.
Like
Obviously, it was more
two
company
times a year, three
emails.
times a
It was
year? Yeah,
company
okay.
emails, but
Company emails. Okay.
sometimes we'd
Yeah.
get them a couple. Sometimes we'd get once a month.
Oh yeah.
Depends on how how bad you were not performing to their standards.
Yeah.
Um,
So I asked that because what else are they supposed to do besides send an email? Like get in there and be like, "Hey guys, get to beta." Like at some point, like these developers have to kind of just do the work themselves. They gotta put on their pants, whatever analogy you want to use, and they need to do the work. Management can only get over on you so much before you either get fired, you get written up, you're replaced. I
How
mean,
can you get fired if your boss is not actually paying attention to what you're doing, though?
I mean, do we have evidence that Microsoft is absolutely not paying
I've
attention?
I've just heard a lot that they have been very hands off with their studios, as well as the proof is kind of in the pudding with some of the things we've heard results wise.
Yeah, I've
When you
heard the
have
same thing.
when you hear constant restarts of projects and all these kind of things, it speaks to you're being very hands off. There's a reason
Yeah, yeah,
things with Nintendo go so well. They're very hands on.
for sure.
You
Granted,
hear from
Nintendo.
Nintendo that they stepped in with their
Yeah,
quality control.
yes, we hear the notorious story of Pokemon Gold and Silver and how Satoru Iwata had literally saved the game from disaster. But my point with Microsoft is such a much bigger corporation than Nintendo, but I mean they've only had the studios for not even 3 years yet. So I mean, how long do you have
Well,
before
they've had Undead Labs, they've had Rare, they've had
Rare's been
Playground.
doing fine. Rare's been doing okay.
They restarted Everwild completely.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
like I said, there's like Undead Labs, Halo. That
Yeah.
debacle. That studio's been around for a long time, and
For
one of
sure.
your best studios, the Coalition, has yet to put out anything because they've been busy covering for other studios.
Yeah. I guess.
They've been a support studio, and that's not what they should be. They're
I guess
literally one of your best studios.
I come from a direction of the company I work for is very hands off as well,
Yeah,
and it is
that's
not.
okay if you have really strong managers in your studios.
Uh. I mean, I guess that depends on how. I guess your ability to be able to have communication with every step down the line. So yes, you can add more lines of communication and you could have people to be able to manage those different things. I guess, in our case, that's
Yeah,
why we have regional managers and
yeah.
things like that. So we have those steps. But at the end of the day, the studios have to be able to do the work themselves.
Oh, I
Mm,
agree.
Yeah, so
But you've
that's
got
why
to be able to you have to identify that quicker, and that's where stronger management is needed, whether it's internally in the studio or and this is more what the way I look at it, and this is not the fault of necessarily like this, oh man, they totally blew it. It's more the fact of like we ran out and purchased Bethesda and spent a lot of time integrating them in and figuring certain stuff out. And because of that, we didn't have hands in whatever Undead Labs are doing or whatever Everwild was or all these other things. And we kind of left them going. We left Obsidian going. Obsidian had great management in their studio, so they were able to just kind of work through whatever the heck they needed to and produce stuff like Grounded and Pentiment. And they're working on Outer Wilds 2 already, and they're working on Avowed, which I'm sure is going to be incredible. But the other studios, we went with that one size fits all of, oh, they can handle it, when they haven't been able to handle it. You've got to be
sure.
able to install something. Like one of the people at PlayStation, and I say this because he works more with external now, but Shuhei Yoshida, he would go around and visit studios, see how they're doing, see it. Like you need more of that. You are far bigger than than you are several studios bigger than PlayStation at this point. So you need much more hands-on. Some teams just need more hands-on. You don't got to send
Sure.
somebody every week to Obsidian, but man, you may need to send it to Undead. Like it's just more the thing of it. It feels like that you're going too much with a one size fits all, and they've got
Sure.
to start. They've got to start changing how they're doing things to make sure they're all of their teams get in line, or else they won't have content.
I think the point I'm making is I don't think that, oh, this is what Sony does and it's working for them, so this is what Microsoft should do. This is what Nintendo does and it's working for them, so this is what Microsoft should do. I don't know. I don't know how Microsoft as a whole works, but if Microsoft takes the same approach with their the 365 division, if they do the same approach with whatever divisions that they have, and this is the same approach that they're going to do with Xbox, then I think what they could be, I'm just saying, they could be doing a thing where it's like, no, you guys need to get your stuff together. We're not going to come baby you guys. We got our own stuff to do. And, all this other stuff. We're not going to hire more people because you guys can't get your ish together. Get your ish together. And we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And if this is the approach Microsoft may want to take, I don't know if they actually are, but if this is the approach they want to take, then maybe these are the growing pains of acquiring all these studios and implementing this hands-off approach. Maybe these people aren't used to it. Maybe they are used to people pounding their, people coming in, pounding their hands on the desk and say, hey, we got to do this, or, emails every week. And like, hey, where are we at? Are we hitting the milestones? I don't know. I just don't think hands off is necessarily bad just altogether, because
Oh yeah, well I agree
Sony
that
and
it's not bad.
Nintendo are having success.
Do you think that maybe it's kind of the growing pain of you're just got the acquisition of, a big workforce? Do you think it's maybe Microsoft? Because, we've been managed, David. Not every employee gets motivated or performs with the same support. Some people you need to
I
be
completely
more,
agree.
you need to be more hands-on.
And that's a lot of what I'm saying is Obsidian obviously can internally manage themselves to hit their stuff. Undead, that they're obviously not.
Do you think they're trying to figure that out? Do you think that's maybe why things are so?
I think they're
delayed,
trying to
feels
figure
like?
it out, but I feel like they're spread thin right now. That's really how I feel. I feel like they're really spread thin on who's taking care of what. And they're especially spread thin right now because they're so focused on this Activision Blitz, which, once again, you should be focused on that. But it would be so much easier to make sure that other things are happening if you have other go-between. And I'm not saying they don't have them. I get the feeling there are not enough of them. Yeah, and that's a fun thing. It's just the results make it seem like that. Because
all the
State of Decay 2,
Undead Labs,
State of Decay 2 came out in 2018. So I'm assuming that State of Decay 3 was in at least the beginning stages around that time, 2018, 2019, and we're all the way. We're just finished 2022. So
yeah,
I said, it's just we should have some more.
People bringing up, that Microsoft is hands off. Maybe they're just stating that as fact, and it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of chaos in the studio, and Microsoft is hands off, and it's like, all right, well, why isn't the studio being able to work itself out, right? Like, it is, if David, your store is, with GameStop is in disarray, and corporate hasn't said anything to you, well, that doesn't excuse the fact that your store is still in disarray.
Oh, so, yeah, they've got to we're supposed to fix it.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, you've got to be willing to, you've got to go in there and start changing some things.
So then I would ask, how much time do you have? And this is where I'm wondering, I'm like, okay, like your criticisms are valid. I do think there is I do think there could be more like structure. I think there could be more. But how long do we give them? How long? Well, once we get them acquired, how long? How long does it take to get them? I don't know.
Well, and that's why I bring up studios like Undead and Everwild and Rare with
Rare,
Everwild and
yeah.
stuff because they've been around. So at some point, you've got to figure out why are we not getting more? Like what? Why
Maybe they
these are
have
the
permission
studios
to
that have been?
restart Everwild.
Yeah. Oh, and they could have.
Maybe?
It's just more the thing of if we're constantly running into this issue across our studios, because it's across the
Yeah,
studios, we've got to start figuring out why this keeps happening.
sure.
That because otherwise we're never solving our content flow because somebody like Bethesda, I mean, yeah, you're going to make your money off of Bethesda, but you're also not going to get the games from Bethesda as quickly as as you should get them from teams like Undead. Like they shouldn't be all taking the exact same amount of time, which AAA development is just getting longer and longer. But that's part of the reason in my mind that you have some of these other teams is they're the gap fillers. And if they
Yeah.
can't fill the gaps, then you're at a serious problem in a service when your whole model is based around a service. You have to have content, and at some point it's like I can't keep just paying millions to companies to get their game on Game Pass. I need my team that I paid millions to, that I'm paying a bunch in payroll on because these guys are still getting paid and costing me money. They have to start putting stuff on Game Pass. I can't just keep going out and having to spend money on the latest and greatest because I already
Oh, yeah.
thought I spent that.
Right. No, I do agree.
Yeah.
I think there's that. It's trying to find that sweet spot of like, letting your developers come up and create with the game that they envisioned, even if they have to,
Yeah.
start from scratch or like revamp. There's different, between letting them have that freedom to like, hey, take your time, like it's fine, like do what you're envisioning. But there comes a point when you're like, hey, we need something.
Yep. Well,
Like
Neil Druckmann restarted Uncharted 4. People forget that. He had to restart the entire project. So
Yeah. It just does. I agree. It looks sus when multiple studios are having the issue. I just come from the perspective. Maybe Microsoft is allowing them to have and make these mistakes. Not with Undead and the harassment stuff. That stuff needs to be taken care of. But in terms of pure development, Microsoft is just like, yes, go ahead and make some mistakes. We want the stuff when it hits. We want it to be good because when it hits, and if it's good, it's going to do even better. No.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and this is like with Uncharted 4, it started, and this is just kind of an example. They had issues in 2014. Obviously, they started soon after Uncharted 3, which was around 2011. They had issues in 2014. Neil Druckmann came in, replaced the manager there. They got the game out by 2016. So it's just that's once again that's more probably what I'm looking at is you need to start figuring some of that stuff out because otherwise you're going to be in this constant cycle of they can't get it done.
All right.
David Burdett with the greatest pitch to Microsoft management to hire him. This was the biggest like segue into him. Like, hey.
So I am your guy. All right. What do you guys want to see from Nintendo, Noah?
I'm a simple man. Mario 2 announcement. Mario Odyssey 2. I think we got the movie coming out this year. I think that's one of like the best Mario games that has came out. I adore that game. So I want a second one. Like I don't need to have like gameplay. Just give me a little hat with the 2 on it. That's all I need. But yeah, I want to see that. And a very niche thing from me. I want something fresh or new with amiibos. I would like to see something different with them. We know that the interactive figure place in this industry came and went with Skylanders and all that stuff. So I want amiibos to have a bigger function than a collector's item. I know that's they're like, no, shut up about the amiibos, but like I think it'd be cool. It's something I'd like to see.
Those are good ones. Yeah. All right. I'll go next. So I was trying very hard to think of original things. But man, I just want Nintendo to have better online. Somehow,
How did I know?
I was
some
like,
way.
But I fully agree.
yeah, I thought of that, but I was like, one of you, you two are going to bring that up, and so I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to do something that because nobody's going to bring up Amiibo. Yeah, so yeah, online.
No,
We
I
need to,
agree.
we
The
need better.
amiibos need some more functionality. 100%. That was a good one. I spend so much time playing online games, and then I get to Nintendo, and it's just like, oh, come on, man! Like, jeez. So I want them to have better. I don't even care about like the chat, uh, whatever. Like, fine, I can deal without the chat. I would prefer if it had chat, but fine, I could do Discord. Great. Can I just have better online service where I'm not playing a game where everybody's teleporting everywhere and all that, because you just have just bad network connections, bad servers, whatever you guys use over there in Nintendo. I just wish you would have something so much more better that
Two
would
cans to
be,
shrink.
you know,
What it feels
yes,
like sometimes.
Yeah.
it does feel like two cans and a string sending the stuff it needs to send, all the upload and downloads. So that, and with better online, just time. I can't avoid it. I tried to think of something else, but it's just time for another console. I know I just bought an OLED, but it's time. It's time. We see it with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It can't even handle it. The Game Freak couldn't even accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. You can blame COVID all you want. Nope. This one's on the Switch. It's just not. It's not powerful enough to be able to handle the idea of Pokemon roaming everywhere while having an open world and live RPG kind of stuff. It's just not good enough. Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 exists. There's still not as much CPU resources going into the idea of, I mean, if you look at even the frame rates of the characters, like as they're walking around, I'm like, oh my God, like everybody's walking at 12 frames per second when you're walking next to them. It's ridiculous. I can understand in the distance, but when you're right next to them and it only goes up 3 frames, no. So I am curious to know how great Breath of the Wild, or sorry, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be in comparison with Breath of the Wild. But yeah, it's just time for new hardware. And here's my pitch for a new piece of hardware. It's a Switch. It's a new Switch. Okay, but more powerful when it's docked. Okay, we can go 1080p all the way up to 1080p 60.
Ooh.
Okay, 1080p
Slow
60
down
while
there.
it's docked. I know. That's asking a lot.
Slow-
But here's the thing. Everybody always talks about, like, yeah, but if it's more powerful, what's going to happen in handheld mode? Here's what you do.
You don't.
Exactly. Exactly. When you pull it out, it's just the regular 720p 30. Like, if we could do the whole performance stuff and quality stuff on the PlayStation and the Xbox, then Nintendo and the engineers could probably figure out a way. When you're in docked mode, you're in quality mode. When you're undocked, you're in performance mode. Boom. Does that sound like a great console? All right.
Really switch.
Then they could just sell new docks as opposed to a whole new system.
There you go. I mean, they already just sell the docks, but
Well,
so, yes.
a better dock that would do
I
all
see what
that
you're
stuff
saying.
possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe even have some components in the dock to help.
So, David, you made your pitch to Microsoft. I just made my pitch to Nintendo. There, we should be hired probably within the next month. So there you go. David, what do you want to see from Nintendo?
Nintendo, please, I need you to bring Virtual Console back. I need you to bring Virtual Console back. I get the whole subscription service thing.
Yeah.
I do. I do, but there's no reason not to sell this stuff separately. There's literally people want to just give you money. People will subscribe to your service and buy these games at the same time. Like they will do it. Like that there people I've seen too much working in GameStop with Nintendo. Nintendo people don't care. Nintendo, you've sold them cardboard. You can literally sell them anything and they will buy it if it's a Nintendo fan. This is kind of my pitch to Nintendo on this. How about it comes to the subscription service 3 months early and then it's available for sale? then you get to do the double dip on it. Like PlayStation's kind of doing that right now. It's not the extra early access, but PlayStation's doing it where you can play it on PlayStation Plus Premium, but you can also buy the classic games as well once they're available on the service.
I'll
So
up the ante on
there's a
you
way
on
to
that
do it.
one. You do it what PlayStation do, and you also combine a little Game Pass on it, so you can purchase it or play it online 3 months early before it's available on the virtual console. And once those 3 months is up, it's off online, and you could purchase it. Boom.
Yep. Like
There you
that.
go. Little
It's just,
FOMO in there.
to me, it's a good way to do it. You get to have your cake and eat it too, Nintendo. My second one is figure out Metroid Prime 4 already, please. We've heard nothing.
Talk about studios with Prime.
Yeah. We've heard nothing since the logo reveal. I thought it was really funny that everybody was bringing up, oh, it's the original studio taking over. It's like, you do realize, I think there are like 4 people there maybe, and that's including the lead director guy on it. It's like almost no one. It does, but it's still the point of, if you're thinking that change, oh man, no, most of the crew are not there. So, but in general, we see how well Nintendo knows how well Metroid sells. Dread sold incredibly. Metroid is a part of that pillar now of character. Like, if it hadn't still been the pillar was at least cracking a little bit. Dread reinforced it being that big pillar of Nintendo's library.
So keep in mind, Metroid has always been. It's just 2D Metroid had been bouncing after Metroid Prime came out because Metroid Prime was so good.
But we really hadn't seen a lot of Metroid since Prime 3 on the Wii. Like, it's been a while since Metroid has been a pillar. So after Dread, it's like Metroid needs to be more for Nintendo, and since they've already announced Prime 4, it needs a push. Like, we need to see, like, you can't just let it be. This has to be your priority. However you've got to get there to bring in a whole another studio to support it or something. Like, it's got to be a priority to get that thing rolling. And Nintendo's obviously notorious for quality control of we ain't putting something out till it's ready. Well, do everything you can to get it out quicker by bringing on more people. Hire people.
Like David Burdett.
Hire people.
Strong managers.
I'm gonna work 2 roles. Be it Xbox on the weekends and Nintendo on the weekday.
That's exactly the problem you're saying Microsoft has.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm talking about, like, bring on full support studios on Metroid Prime 4. I'm not saying that it's a management issue. I think this one's an actual, they need support studios.
Why doesn't Microsoft just need support studios? Why don't you just...
Because obviously they've not been able to even handle that.
Perfect Dark actually has a support studio now.
Yeah, and we still haven't seen any more Perfect Dark, so...
Time, man. It takes time. All right, man. That was a spirited New Year's discussion. Woo, it's good to be back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it was good. So that'll do it for us today. Thanks for listening. You can follow us every week. Hey, I got the watch list coming out. All right, it's coming out. By the time you hear this, the watch list will be out. So you'll check that out. Figure out what's coming out that week. For lost the dates already. January 8th through the 14th. All right. So that is happening. David, what you working on?
I am actually working on something that you played with me. I'm doing some early access impressions on Marauders, which is a very interesting game.
Very.
Like, it's one of those games I just want to go back and figure out. Like, I think that's like the draw of the whole extraction shooter thing. If it's like, I'm mad at this, why'd I die? I'm gonna do this again.
Yeah.
like really, that's kind of how this feels, and I think that's the biggest draw of this game. Of, man, I want to figure this out.
Yeah. No, are you working on anything?
I'm chomping at the bit for some like spicy news. Like that's what I'm waiting on. And
All
then,
right.
just hoping, I get a One Piece Odyssey review code so I can tell them how much I love One Piece. And they'll never let me near their stuff again.
Well,
So,
hopefully Odyssey does turn out to be good if you end up getting
oh,
a code for it. I hope so. All right. That will do for us. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening. We will talk to you later. Deuces.
Peace.
bye.